Hey everybody, Tony T and another Piney podcast. How you doing today? Lots to talk about. Well, actually not that much, but lots to talk about in the storm and the beer virus. The webcomic factory is down for a little while. I'm not exactly sure why. Trying to figure it out. Hopefully it'll just come back up. It usually does. So if you're looking for comics, hopefully I will be able to update soon. But getting into it, the beer virus. Now, oddly, I had to go to PIX11, a New York news source, to find the numbers today. That NewJersey.com either didn't report them or Murphy didn't report them. I'm not exactly sure. And I'm not exactly sure where PIX 11 got their numbers, but apparently there were 378 new cases, 11 deaths, and the rate of transmission dropped to 1.32. They've got some other numbers here, and Murphy was making a lot of noise. Oh, we got to get that number down, that transmission rate. Um, of those sick, 784 people are hospitalized. 117 of those are in ICUs, and 47 are on ventilators. The hospitals include 295 confirmed beer virus patients and 489 patients who are suspected to have the virus, but tests are pending. A 7-month-year-old who died tested positive for the beer virus, but state health officials said they do not know yet the primary cause of death. So you have to be very careful with that. People go absolutely bonkers if it turns out he died of that. So you got to be sure. You got to be sure of what the baby died of. And that's, let me add, total tragedy. So, but I guess it was because Murphy was distracted by the storm. And where the heck is it? Oh, well, this is more about the beer virus. South Jersey's organizing pandemic pods ahead of school year. The idea is the families will share duties watching the kids and getting them to watch their teachers online, I guess. You know, if this is going to happen, they really should lower the property taxes and cut school funding. They should. I mean, this got to save the school money. If you got to do most of the legwork teaching your kids, 90% of this public schools are babysitters for these parents. And if you're not going to do that, a lot of them are going to be not on board with paying for all these taxes. The whole point was to dump your kid someplace so you didn't see him for 6 to 8 hours. But so people are bristling under that, Murphy. You better get school open soon. Most kids are pretty, resilient against the virus unless they have an underlying medical condition. Of course, those kids shouldn't go to school, not yet anyway. But more information comes out in terms of the virus. But most kids have a 99.99% survival rate. You can't get much higher than that and even call it anything. So it's time to open the schools. But give parents an option. You could, instead of wasting all your money with these halfway measures, give the parents a real option. Say, okay, your kid has an underlying medical condition, he could stay home. It's as simple as that. Hammonton got rocked, absolutely rocked by the storm. And you can see here one of the trees that fell. A lot of trees fell in Hammonton. Hammonton's a great town. My parents live near there. A lot of my relatives are from that area. And I've heard, I haven't actually been through town, but I've heard from people who live there that it's just a mess. It's just a mess. They have a lot of old trees. It's a pretty old town. And, there are a lot of trees that are 100 years old, 100 feet tall. And they just got blown over by the storm. So watch yourself if you're going to Hammonton. I assume there's a lot of down lines. But I'm sure they'll get it cleaned up. They are surprisingly good at cleaning this stuff up these days. It's amazing. It's amazing. Within a couple of weeks, it'll all be chopped up and removed, I think. What was this one? Oh, yeah. South Jersey Chamber slams Murphy borrowing plan after Supreme Court hearing. Thank God somebody's standing up to this. The Republicans are actually doing something in the state of New Jersey. The state Supreme Court heard oral arguments Wednesday in Republican leaders' bid to stop Governor Murphy from borrowing $9.9 billion for the state budget. This is the Democrats in a nutshell. Hey, we got this budget. Oh, but we're like $10 billion short. We'll just borrow it. Like, how are you going to pay that back? Right? There are interest on any loans you take. They're not 0% interest. And even if it's not, next year, how are you going to not only make up for the money you still don't have? You had to borrow $10 billion to make the budget, which stands to reason next year you'd have to borrow it again, unless you cut now way more. So this is the problem. People push the can down the road. What he should be doing is making cuts. But you can't make cuts when you're a progressive, because all you offer people are more and more programs. Programs for this, programs for that, programs for the environment, programs for people, programs for people in this group and that group. That's what they pander to. And this is why, and it just grows and grows and grows. And then when they run out of money, they go to the federal government. Gimme, gimme, gimme. You can't run a state like that. You shouldn't run a state like that. It's not right. You're essentially robbing Peter to pay Paul, as they say. You're just taking money out of people's pockets some other way. You should live within your means. We have to do it. Why shouldn't the state? Why should Governor Murphy, a millionaire who worked at Goldman Sachs, who owns 3 mansions in 3 different countries, why should he not live within his means? Why should he spend money like a drunken sailor like this? So, the Chamber of Commerce Southern New Jersey issued a damning statement from its CEO and president, Christina Renna, opposing the Bond Act. There she is. Good for you, Christina. Good for you. No one disputes that the beer virus pandemic has led to dire fiscal consequences for New Jersey, Renna said in a statement. However, today's New Jersey Supreme Court hearing shined a glaring spotlight on the unconstitutionality of the state's $9.9 billion borrowing plan as the primary method to help the state recover from the ongoing crisis and balance the state budget. Borrowing money is a serious decision with even more serious consequences for taxpayers and businesses of New Jersey. No one is claiming New Jersey will not have to borrow some money due to the impact of the pandemic. What is being asked is that voters have a voice in the process, that the money borrowed is used to help New Jersey truly recover instead of being used for government operating expenses, and that taxpayers are provided a clear picture of the state's overall fiscal situation before being saddled with nearly $10 billion in new debt, plus decades of interest, which will inevitably resurface in the form of increased taxes for years to come. Murphy's administration has said it hopes to borrow as little money as possible, $10 billion, with the goal of making up for unexpected revenue shortfalls tied to the pandemic as it builds a constitutionally mandated balanced budget. Well, you know what, $10 billion? You could literally give everyone in the state $1,000. That's how much money it is. We have about 9 million people in the state. You could give them all $1,000 instead of, that with that borrowing. That's how much it is. So, essentially, what Murphy is adding is over $1,000 a year to your taxes because you got to pay the interest on it. So, more from the storm. This is the tornado that hit. Somebody had video. This is from Channel 6. And Ray says, where's the damn tornado? Come on. There it is. There it is in Mamora. I can't play a ton of it. But this is the wreckage off of Twitter. As you can see, pretty serious damage. That's a telephone pole broken in half across the street. Another one leaning. The whole road's blocked with trees. I think I know where this is. This is off the Garden State Parkway, if I'm not mistaken. Not too far from it. Because I vaguely recognize this sign, this motel sign. There's like a million motels there. But there's one near that exit, I believe. Wow. Looks pretty bad if this is where I'm thinking it is. I forget the road. But, it's Route 9. Yeah, I must have been down there at one point. It looks very familiar. All of South Jersey looks familiar to me. But yeah, Piney's, I hope you were safe during the storm. I hope you're okay. I hope your house is okay. I hope you got power. A lot of people don't have power. And it's sweltering. So at least it cooled off a little. It did cool off a little bit after the storm, but it started to get hot again today. Got up to 88, and that was unpleasant. The morning was nice, but 88, a little too hot. Anyhow, that is the Piney podcast for today. We will check in with you tomorrow with more in South Jersey.